What's up, everybody? Nico Dwyer here for the 10th inning, giving you another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw Alex Rodriguez sign a 10-year, $252 million contract with the Texas Rangers, at the time, the most in sports history. It's since been beaten. We don't have anything quite like that today, but we do have one running back getting 6 touchdowns on the day in the NFL. We have some Heisman winners to talk about, and some Australian Opens to get into. So if y'all enjoy this video, leave a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. This Day in Sports History. And we will start today out in 1908 at the Australasian Championship, and Fred Alexander would defeat Alfred Dunlop 3-6, 3-6, 6-0, 6-2, 6-3 in 5 sets to win his first and only major singles title. Over to the NFL in 1937, at the NFL Championship game, the Washington Redskins would defeat the Chicago Bears 28-21. Moved to 1959 now, and at the season-ending U.S. Grand Prix, even though he would finish 4th, Jack Brabham would bring home his first F1 World Drivers' Championship, and he would also be the first Australian driver to win the F1 World Drivers' Championship, taking the title by 4 points ahead of Tony Brooks, and this would be his first of 3 Grand Prix championships. 2 years later, we would move to the world of international football in 1961, and Juventus' forward Omar Sivori would win the Ballon d'Or ahead of Luis Suarez and Johnny Haynes. Back to the NFL now in 1965, and Chicago Bears running back Gale Sayers would tie the NFL record for most touchdowns in a single game by a non-quarterback, with 6 in a 61-20 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. Sayers on the day would have 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, and 1 punt return for a touchdown. 1 year later in 1966, at a decision that actually went to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court would vote 4-3, allowing the Braves to move to Atlanta. Over to tennis now a decade later in 1976, and Manuel Orantes would defeat Wojtek Fibak 5-7, 6-2, 0-6, 7-6, 6-1 to win his first and only ATP Masters Grand Prix title. Stay in tennis in 1982, this time at the Australian Open on the women's side, Chris Evert would win her first Australian title, giving her her career Grand Slam after defeating Martina Navratilova 6-3, 2-6, 6-3, and this would also be her 13th of 18 Grand Slam singles titles in her career. We get into the Heismans now, start in 1992, and Gino Torretta, quarterback out of the University of Miami in Florida, would win it on the season, 3,060 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He would end up gaining 1,400 points to second place's 1,080. 6 years later, we remain at the Heisman in 1998, and running back Ricky Williams out of Texas would win with a total of 2,124 yards on the season, 27 touchdowns, and he would just win this in blowout fashion, 2,355 points to second place's 792. Back to the international world of football here, in 2002, an Inter/Real Madrid forward Ronaldo would win the Ballon d'Or, ahead of Roberto Carlos and Oliver Kahn. But we go back to college football in 2009 at the Heisman. Running back Mark Ingram out of Alabama would win the Heisman on the season, 1,658 yards, 17 touchdowns, and this was a close voting, but he would win with 1,304 points to second place's 1,276. Remain at the Heisman in 2011, and Robert Griffin III, quarterback out of Baylor, would win the Heisman over Andrew Luck on the season, 4,293 yards, 37 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, to go along with 699 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. Griffin would earn 1,687 points to second place's 1,407. Our second to final Heisman of the day in 2015, running back Derrick Henry out of Alabama would win with 2,219 yards on the season, 28 touchdowns, and he would eclipse 1,832 points in the voting to second place's 1,539. Stay in 2015, move over to the world of UFC though, and Conor McGregor would knock out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds to win the featherweight title. We end today's video off in 2016 and we have two separate events for you. First, in the international world of football, Real Madrid's Cristiano Ronaldo would claim the Ballon d'Or for the fourth time, 429 points ahead of Lionel Messi. Then in college football at the Heisman, quarterback Lamar Jackson out of the University of Louisville would win and on the season 3,543 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions to go along with 1,571 rushing yards, 21 rushing touchdowns. Jackson would end up winning with 2,144 points over second place's 1,524. So there you have it. That's what happened on this day in sports history. If I left anything out, I do apologize. If I mispronounced any names, I also apologize. But I'll see everybody tomorrow for Nick Dwyer and the 10th inning.